begin the history screen, identify the presence of a chief complaint by checking the box next to the chief complaint documented heading. Use the drop-down menu to select the chief complaint, or you may type it in if the desired text is unavailable in the list. If you want to clean up your drop-down options, you may also delete a chief complaint that is no longer necessary by right-clicking on the drop-down arrow and clicking Delete. If you are using the 1995 documentation guidelines, you can only choose the HPI element wording below, and the number of chronic disease drop-down cannot be used. Simply click on the appropriate wording and the corresponding checkbox will be checked. If you are using the 1997 documentation guidelines, you can use either the HPI element wording below, or you may choose to use the number of chronic diseases and status documented drop-down list. For the 1997 documentation guidelines, either option is appropriate. As we click on the necessary elements, Intelicode is calculating our level of HPI. To enter the documented review of systems elements for the encounter you are auditing, simply click on the appropriate ROS elements wording and the corresponding checkbox will be checked. As we check the appropriate ROS elements, Intelicode is calculating our level of ROS. But what if you are not able to obtain this information from the patient or another source? Intelicode offers a simple solution. You can still get your level of ROS by clicking on the History Unobtainable from Any Source box below. A new window will open and then state why the ROS was unobtainable. You still need to select the appropriate level of history based on the HPI documented. For example, a problem-focused, expanded problem-focused, detailed, or comprehensive. These need to be selected before moving on to the exam component. Once you have completed this section, you are done with the history screen and can move on to the exam screen. If, however, at a later time you are able to obtain information from another source, you can uncheck the box and it will keep what you previously have completed. Complete filling out the ROS information and Intelicode will calculate your level of ROS. Intelicode also has another benefit feature that makes your auditing easier. The option of All Others Reviewed and Negative is available to click and will note that all the other ROS elements were discussed with the patient and were found to be negative. Next, you will need to move on to the Documented Past, Family, and Social History section, or PFSH elements. Simply click on the appropriate PFSH elements and the corresponding checkbox will be checked. Intelicode again will calculate your level of PFSH elements for this encounter. Remember that you can add note macros at any point during the encounter on any of the encounter screens. Note macros that you add to the history screen will continue to show up in the Note Macros field in subsequent screens. We are now finished entering the history information for this encounter, and you are ready to move on to the exam portion of your audit.